welcome to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. I am your host, Sam Randazzo, and I am joined by my two very jaded co-hosts. To my right, it is the one and only Uncle Sam.
Hello.
And behind the soundboard, absolutely pounding his own plums, it is Bruce, the tugboat Venditti.
What's up?
All right. Here we go. It is Super Bowl week. We are back. We got a lot to go through today. We're going to start off. We're going to jump right into it. We're going to get to a little bit of free agency talk later in the episode. Obviously, we're going to preview the Super Bowl. But before that, we need to talk about the gigantic, enormous, disgusting pink elephant in the room. That is the Pro Bowl games.
God.
All right.
That was absolutely fucking horrific. Exactly. Fucking awful. Awful.
So, obviously, Pro Bowl back in the day in Hawaii, or back when they used to do the skills competition. Uncle Sam's been sending me video clips from the skills competition all week. Listen, that was the Pro Bowl's heyday. And
I want to see Larry Allen fucking do fucking 50 fucking bench presses of 2 1/4. I don't want to see people throw water balloons at each other. What the fuck? What the fuck?
If you go back to about a year ago, oh, by the way, our Tip Balls 1 year anniversary was actually yesterday.
Oh, was it?
It was. So
happy birthday.
We made it a year.
How?
Happy birthday to Tip
me.
Balls.
Look at that.
When we started this, one of the first things we talked about was the perfect plan to make the Pro Bowl great again. As you know, Bruce has got the vintage merch on right there. Make the Pro Bowl great.
We shit to bed.
Out of it.
Listen,
We are unable to come through.
here we go. The Pro Bowl last year was a joke. They come out with a new format.
It's a
done
bigger
by
joke.
Omaha Productions, Peyton and Eli, and tried to change it up. And I got news for you. This was an even bigger dud, in my opinion, than what they had. This was, it didn't showcase any sort of skill. I don't think it was an honor. I think it was unorganized. I think it was messy. I couldn't figure out what the fuck was going on, what was happening next. The only highlight that came from it was the one bullshit fucking out of line hit that Jalen Ramsey laid on Tyreek Hill. That was the only
It was a fucking accident, dude. It wasn't even on purpose.
Whatever
it was a motherfucking accident.
That was the only thing did you see any other coverage from it outside of that on socials?
I watched a bunch of guys playing two-hand touch. Are you fucking serious, dude?
It was
Trevor Lawrence bomb wasn't a touchdown.
Excuse me?
Huh?
That Trevor Lawrence bomb wasn't a touchdown, but they ruled it a touchdown.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, I thought it was way too kiddie-like. That was just, it was awful.
I didn't enjoy any of it.
Honest to God, I made it through about 20 minutes and then that was it. I'm not even going to lie. I would turn it on, watch it for a second, turn it off.
It was so hard to watch.
I know.
I mean, it was fucking awful, dude.
So they definitely need to take that one back to the drawing board. Can I ask, what's wrong with going back in time? What's wrong with giving all these players and their families a week in Hawaii? They go out there, they play one football game that's not, you're not going 100%, but you're at least performing. You're at least showing the people why you're there. You don't have to go 100%. Have an actual football game. Make it the Pro Bowl what it used to be. I don't understand why we had to get away from it.
Pro Bowl used to be a family outing is what it was.
It was an honor.
Go back to that. Jesus Christ. Are you fucking serious? You want to know why? It's too hip-hop and too cool. I don't like it. I don't like any of it. Go back to the fucking 80s and stay there.
Oh, I don't know what the best was. Know how they tried to do the catch competition, like the NBA dunk contest?
Are you fucking serious?
They had, who was it? It was Snoop Dogg, Pete Davidson, and who's the other judge?
Oh, shit.
Snoop Dogg, Pete Davidson.
Oh, motherfucking Pete Davidson.
Oh, and LaDainian Tomlinson.
Who the fuck is Pete Davidson anyway? Nobody likes him. Nobody.
And
I don't like
So what? He gets a couple hot girlfriends and he's something? This guy ain't nothing. They all leave him. Obviously, he ain't nothing.
You see what he said? He was like,
fuck?
why am I here?
Yeah,
Why am I
I think
here?
everybody was
Exactly.
asking,
Why is he there? You know why? Because
Why
he's
am I
high. And I know Bruce can attest to this because he's the same fucking way.
Okay.
I'm just here.
All right.
I'm just here.
Yeah, but the difference
That's what
between
it is.
difference between Bruce and Pete Davidson is
What?
Pete Davidson reportedly
Pete Davidson's Jewish and he's not.
Pete Davidson,
Why? Because he's Jewish. It's okay.
Pete Davidson reportedly has a salami stick dangling between.
Yeah,
his
I don't
legs,
believe. I don't believe
and
that
we
either.
can-
You know
we
what?
know
That's
that
all
that's not the
horseshit
case
too. It's
with
probably
Bruce.
fake. They got fake everything else there.
Hearsay.
Are you being the first one on live air to claim that Pete Davidson has a fake cock?
Probably. Probably.
Wow.
Wow.
You know why?
You heard
Because
it here
did you
first.
see the little
Breaking
show
news.
with Pamela Anderson and Tommy fucking Lee, where his little dick stands up and starts talking? It's a fake dick, and Pete Davidson probably has one of those too. I wouldn't be fucking surprised. The only one who's swinging is my man, and you know who it is. Who is it? Bruce? Are you too high?
Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson, baby.
Um,
That's it. How about those Cowboys?
anyways, yeah. So takeaways from the Pro Bowl games, not good. Honestly, I don't
It's
even
awful.
know who won.
It was awful.
I don't know what was. I didn't
the
even know
NFC
who was the
won.
winner.
The
The NFC won.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what the fuck was going on.
And I guess it was a matter of like 20 grand a guy, 20 grand a head between a winner and a loser or whatever.
They went out and spent that on.
I heard
I don't
AFC
know.
always tries.
They went out and spent that on fucking at the casino later on that night.
All I know is this: they should never do it again.
No, they need to definitely.
It's awful.
Something has to
I mean,
happen.
what do you do at this point? Like I said, I would rather see the skills competition of like the old time skill competition with the golf carts and Dan Marino firing fucking balls at the golf carts with the little fucking bullseyes on it. I'd rather see that. I would rather see that, and I'd rather see Larry Allen, all these big dudes, do the fucking bench press at 2 1/4 and see who could break Larry Allen's record. That's what I want to see.
I will say I did enjoy watching Penel Sewell go through a wall and like tumble over.
The little styrofoam
Yeah, the
wall.
little styrofoam
yeah, it
wall
was
and-
fucking stupid.
Yeah, I know, but it's
it was
funny.
stupid.
It's cool.
That was stupid.
It was funny.
All right. That's enough about that
That's-
because my
fuck.
God, that was
Fuck.
disgusting. Let's get into some news. Here we go. Obviously, Myles Garrett somehow sustained an injury in that joke of a game.
Yeah, he dislocated his pinky toe.
Yeah, popped it right back into place. No surgery required there.
Okay.
Nice.
Some other news. 49ers hiring Steve Wilkes as their defensive coordinator.
I love that move.
After
love that move.
D'Amico Ryans is now the Texans head coach. So there's a vacancy
good
there.
for him.
Filled by Steve Wilkes. I agree. I like that move quite a
I
bit.
really like that move for the Niners,
Mm-hmm.
big time.
And you know,
Go ahead.
the last two 49ers defensive coordinators,
Yes.
now head coaches, Robert Saleh
Yeah.
and D'Amico Ryan. So
Like I said, and I said the same thing about Robert Saleh when he got hired. Robert Saleh had the privilege of coaching nothing but number 1 picks all over that defense for the 49ers. It's not like the 49ers just became defensively good overnight. They've been that way for almost a decade.
right.
Yeah,
They've
their
had- they've
defense
just had
has
a-
been top notch for a
correct.
decade.
It's been very dominant.
So it's very easy to look good when you have a defense that is full of number 1 picks. Very easy. Very easy to look good.
So obviously Tom Brady retired. So now the quarterback controversy of the offseason is focusing straight in on Aaron Rodgers. And
I don't know about that because, somebody was interviewing Tom Brady, and he had asked Tom Brady the question because now he doesn't start his routine of the broadcast
till 2024.
deal till 24. So obviously he has over a year off. So they asked him, are you done? And he wouldn't answer him.
Guess what?
I think he's done.
I didn't
personally,
bring
but-
this up just because I didn't want to hear shit from you. Yes, he went out of his way to let Fox know he wasn't going to start until 2024, which essentially gives him what he called, quote unquote, a year to prepare for that new job.
And I think that's a smart move. So he doesn't come in like a dumbass like
You want
Tony
me to be
Romo.
honest? I think that was just him wanting to leave the door open, just at least a crack. At least a crack.
He said he's not coming back.
Especially with all this news about how Gronk wants to get back into the league this year.
Not coming back.
In my opinion, that's him keeping the door cracked. But as of now, he's retired, and it's probably going to stay that way. But Aaron Rodgers, He was on Pat McAfee yesterday, and he said that he's going on an isolation retreat where he will spend 4 days in a jungle by himself.
And smoke huge amounts of peyote with Bruce.
Asuhisha or whatever it's called. You know how to pronounce it?
Peyote.
Ayahuasca, whatever.
No.
Some sort of psychedelic fucking weed.
He's going to smoke it all with Bruce.
And he said after that, he'll be ready to make his decision. He was also golfing over the weekend. I think it's some, I don't know, charity, whatever, in Vegas with the Pro Bowl. But he said to an interviewer that a lot of people have been talking about him going to the Raiders.
Okay.
And the only thing that he can guarantee is that he won't be a 49er.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
God knows what's going to happen with that. But he also mentioned on McAfee that he was not 100% certain that he was going to come back. So, could be retirement, could see him back with Devontae Adams, could see him back in Green Bay. I think him being in Green Bay is the least likely situation. But he's got to go smoke dope in a forest for a few days by himself before he can decide that, which God bless him. Here we go. Jim Irsay tweeted yesterday. We said,
I don't think it's him tweeting, by the way.
no, it's him.
I think
tweeting.
it's somebody typing for him.
Wait till you
he's
hear
a
how
toxic.
this reads.
There's no way he could see
You
those
don't
little
think-
letters and numbers
Well,
on a fucking tweet.
he's not very good grammatically, I'll say that
Okay.
much. We said as an organization, the coaching search would be an open-minded and thorough process, and the final decision would be strictly based on what's best for our franchise's success and for our fans of Colts Nation. Final decision coming in the days, not hours. So obviously the Colts doing their due diligence. Everybody close to the organization is saying that currently Jeff Saturday is the front runner for the long-term head coaching job.
This is all. This is good for the rest of the league.
I like
This
this.
is good for the rest
like
of the
this move.
league.
God bless. Yesterday, Derek Carr asked the Raiders for permission to visit the Saints, and he did. He was there doing his due diligence. Carr has a no-trade clause and would have to allow the Raiders to trade him, so he's going there to check out the organization prior. How do you feel about Derek Carr being a Saint?
You know, I think he needs somewhere to go somewhere with a little more structure. I don't think the Saints have enough structure there for him. I know it sounds stupid, but I think he needs to go somewhere that has a head coach in place, a good head coach, not some trick.
I agree with you, but I was trying to think about what situation that needs a quarterback that isn't drafting top 2 or 3 would spend the money to have Derek Carr there, because I couldn't figure it out.
Well, I think
with
Jim
more
Irsay.
structure.
Jim Irsay.
You know what?
I truly think that they need a quarterback bad.
Here's the thing. The Colts have had 4 flash-in-the-pan quarterbacks in a row. I think the Colts need to do whatever it takes to trade up into this draft to get a guy who's going to be long-term. And I think they will do that. Obviously, it's not time to talk about draft quite yet, but so that's my opinion on what the Colts are going to do.
Jets.
The Jets is an interesting one, but, you know, I feel the same way. You were talking about structure. You have a coach who couldn't decide all year who his starting quarterback was going to be.
That wasn't his fault in some aspects of
You've
it.
said it the most. Joe Flacco should have kept starting for that.
Joe Flacco should have
All
kept
right.
playing as they were winning.
Right.
And the minute they made the change to Zach Wilson, it started to go into the fucking toilet.
Agree. And the problem is with the Jets situation is there's going to be, as soon as Derek Carr has one bad game, everybody's going to be calling for Mike White to come back. Unless they eliminate all the other options, which it doesn't seem like they're going to do.
You have an open competition. You want to bring Carr in for an open competition, do it.
I think
all teams should have that on their agenda.
personally, I honestly love the Derek Carr to the Saints thing. It makes the most sense.
I said I didn't mind it. I would like to see him go to a team that has more structure. I don't trust their coaching staff there because they made a lot of bad decisions all year long. And you got some key free agents that they're going to fucking lose this year. I don't know.
Here's the
I
thing.
don't have a problem with it. I think he's a good fit. He's stability. Derek Carr is stability to wherever he goes.
Derek Carr, obviously the way that he left Oakland, everybody knows, or Vegas, whoever the fuck they are.
Let me tell you something. Vegas shit the bed hard.
Here's the
way
thing.
they drove him out.
Right.
They
best
could have done that behind closed doors. They didn't need to do that out in the open like they did.
The best way for Derek Carr to revitalize his career would be going to a team next year and making the playoffs. And you look at me right now and you tell me the Saints with Derek Carr and their defense, I know they're going to lose pieces, but with the base defense that they have with Derek Carr, that they're not favorites to win their division.
Well, I think they would be.
Absolutely.
Brady's gone. So
you have Desmond Ritter and Sam Darnold.
Well, I mean, Mariota's gone.
Yeah.
Darnold's the only guy in that division with a little bit of success.
Experience. If that a little bit of
success. Yeah. I mean, you can say what you want to say about Andy Dalton. He's obviously
if they're bringing in
Andy
Derek
Dalton's
Carr,
a fucking backup.
Correct.
So what does this say about Jameis Winston? Jameis Winston's basically out.
Yeah. I think Jameis Winston and Dalton would both be out regardless. So he's going to be in division with Kyle Trask, Desmond Ritter, Sam Darnold. Obviously, Derek Carr is the most talented one out of all.
Derek Carr, you never know. He might go. He's going to go to quite a few places to interview before I think he decides where he wants to go.
I got news. It's
out of division. We already know that.
I think the Saints thing is going to be the move, and I think it'll come sooner than ever.
It's whatever capital they can get in return.
Well, he said that
the Raiders.
Supposedly, he does not want to be traded.
Yeah.
He wants to be let go. And then
they're going to try to trade him. They want some kind of compensation for him.
So we will see how that goes.
I don't believe that'll happen.
But you have to remember, because of that no trade clause, he has a little bit more power than you'd think.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. He does.
So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Other than that, does anybody have any news they would like to toss in today?
As far as?
The NFL, what we're here to talk about.
Well, I mean, at this point right now, you got two teams that are left battling this out to finish off this year here.
I got one before we go on.
Okay.
Vikings hired Brian Flores as their defensive coordinator. Honestly, love that hire. And Brady's first Let's Go podcast since he's retired. He had Bill Belichick on.
Interesting.
As his guest.
Really?
Yep. AJ Green retired. Forgot about that.
Yeah, AJ Green. God bless AJ Green.
AJ Green.
Guys put his heart and soul into this game.
I mean, that was
AJ Green at one time. There was a 4-year stretch where he was one of the best receivers in football.
I agree with that.
Agree with that. Why? Well, here we go. What's here we go,
said
Bruce?
it multiple times.
What?
Multiple times.
What?
Nothing. I agree.
About AJ Green being a force? He was a force at one time. When he had a quarterback. But when he had Carson
Palmer. In the fantasy podcast.
When he had Carson Palmer.
Deep throat job on AJ Green.
Anyway.
So, yeah, that's why I mentioned that.
Okay. Let's get into it. Super Bowl is on Sunday. Kansas City and Philadelphia are going to square off in the biggest game of the year. We know all the camaraderie that comes with the Super Bowl. We don't need to go into that. But what we do need to talk about...
all the press shit right now.
What we do need to talk about first is that the Chiefs have sent McCole Hardman IR, ending the year, obviously, and brought Clyde Edwards-Helaire back to the active roster. Not that I think that's that groundbreaking of a move. Obviously, though, Hardman has had an impact for the Chiefs' offense down the stretch. I did not think we would see Edwards-Helaire suiting up for this game.
I didn't either.
Realistically, he was a non-factor most of the year.
So what are they going to do? Play my receiver?
Well, Pacheco earned that starting job. McKinnon did outstanding down the stretch, a touchdown machine. So I didn't really see how Edwards-Helaire fit into that. Obviously, though, they want him in this game.
Okay.
Understandably so. I think with Pacheco's emergence and then McKinnon kind of took a good chunk of Edwards-Helaire's role away. I don't see Edwards-Helaire being in Kansas City next year, but for some reason,
he's not a free agent.
I think he's going to have an impact on this game. I just do. I think Andy Reid's going to have some
Andy Reid's
some
pretty
way
good
to get
about
him involved.
Masking shit. And next thing you know, fucking guy will get 15 carries in this game or 20 carries.
Now, obviously, we have Andy Reid, in my opinion, probably the second best coach in the NFL right now. Obviously, Belichick's in a tier of his own.
And you know
Andy
what?
Reid,
Belichick's the same way as Andy Reid. Andy Reid approaches shit just like Belichick. Because I'm telling you right now, Edwards-Helaire, it'll be something stupid. This guy will get 15 carries.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but
It'll be like
Andy Reid's not
Sony
weird
Michel
like Belichick.
when he won the fucking MVP
Yeah.
that one year because all of a sudden the guy got 25 carries in a fucking Super Bowl.
So, Andy Reid, very well documented history. Obviously, the winningest coach in Eagles history, now facing off against his former team in the Super Bowl. His resume speaks for itself. Nick Sirianni for the Eagles, one of the hottest names in the game right now. Truly, I mean, went 13-1 to start off the year, and then Hurts obviously missed a couple games with injury that they dropped. But what the Eagles did throughout the regular season this year was pretty remarkable. All right.
Yeah.
And I mean, you have to think about it. Both of these teams had very good years, but if you're talking regular season, the Eagles impressed us in every game they played this year. Even the games where Minshew played, they stayed in those games. There was never a blowout. Their first loss against Washington was, in my opinion, one of the best overall football games I watched this year. It seemed like a battle of titans. I mean, running the ball down each other's throat.
Physical game.
Who would you rather have coaching going into this game?
Well, obviously, Andy Reid.
See, I knew you'd be quick to say that, but you know what?
Andy Reid's been there. You know what? There's an experience factor that's going to kick into this game. I still think that the Eagles will win, but I think there's an experience factor that players, and there's not that much experience on the Eagles' part as far as the championship run outside Kelsey.
Correct.
And a couple of the offensive linemen that are there right now. I think Andy Reid will call a very good game in this game.
I think so too.
I think it's going to be a tight game. I don't see it being a fucking runaway. I don't see it being a blowout. I think it's going to be a tight game that's going to come right down to the end. Who makes a mistake at the end?
I want to get into this more, but before we do, as far as coaching goes in this game, I think truly, and obviously the NFL honors are tomorrow night, so we won't know who wins these awards. I think Nick Sirianni's an easy candidate he should win Coach of the Year. But outside of that, I was sitting here trying to think about it. If you look at the talent that's on both of these teams, right? Obviously, they have their superstars. Travis Kelce is a superstar. A.J. Brown is a superstar. Obviously, both quarterbacks. Hurts a little bit behind Mahomes, but has all of the makings to be a superstar. Outside of that, these are just very, very well-built teams. Great offensive lines. Great defensive fronts. And not that many just downright superstars. The Philadelphia has Hassan Reddick. The Chiefs have Chris Jones. Like, they have their people, but the way that they've coached these two teams up, I think right now, both these teams all year have excelled above their talent level.
Well, I think you got to listen. You take a guy away like Tyreek Hill.
That was my next point.
And I was just like,
and
for them to be where they're at,
steps right in there and fills that hole. Right.
We didn't think they were going to be able to recover from.
I didn't think they would either. I said it all off.
They don't really have a truly good receiver.
They
I
don't.
don't want to be an asshole about it.
No, but the
guys they got are second tier guys.
They do not have a solidified number one.
Well, they
receiver.
do. It's Travis Kelce's their number one receiver.
Correct. But then outside of Travis Kelce, who obviously is their number one,
it would be
it's Juju, Valdez-Scantling. I mean, and then Hardman, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney. These are a lot of guys that would be, special teamers.
Toney was a very substantial pick in a draft for the Giants, and level-wise, he's a first-round pick.
Correct.
Kadarius Toney's a first-round pick, whether you like it or not. That's what he is. Has he lived up to that? No. That's why he's where he's at.
But they don't have that solidified numero uno.
I really think that's what they wanted Tony to be, the next Tariq Hill, and he's been unable to stay on the field, stay healthy to be that spot.
So, again, I think the Chiefs really, and if you break down their defense, because when you think about the Chiefs, and I don't know if it's just there's just always so much surrounding their offense, so much surrounding Mahomes. But if you think about the Chiefs from an outside standpoint, you don't really think about their defense all that much. But if you look statistically,
their defensive line with Chris Jones and Frank Clark and with these couple of these young guys sprinkled in there, they're pretty good. They're pretty good up front.
Here we go.
Where the key is, where they're very good, their linebacker core. Now they're all second-year guys.
Yeah.
They're first and second-year guys that have played very well.
Willie Gay.
Will Gay's played well, and of course Nick Bolton. We all know about Nick Bolton. And then you got Karlaftis, who walked in there this year, who's playing on the defensive line as well at linebacker. And then Leo Chanel, who they drafted this year, the rookie, who's really played very well.
So if you look at the statistics here, the Chiefs' defense really speaks for himself. They're second in sacks behind Philadelphia with 55. Rushing yards per game, they're actually rushing yards against per game. They're actually better than Philadelphia. They're eighth. They only allow 107 rush yards per game.
Well, guess what? And I'm going to give you a understanding of why that is. The NFC East, they take pride in pounding the fucking football at each other. That's why the numbers are where they're at as far as the running goes.
Right, because Philadelphia has some dogs up front.
Correct.
As well,
outside Josh Jacobs, who else is a dog out there in the West? Outside Josh Jacobs.
Eckler.
But Eckler's kind of a
more
two-headed
of a receiver.
monster.
That's true.
He's more.
I'd say
can
the
do it
NFC
all.
in general love running the football more than the AFC.
I agree with you.
Josh Jacobs went for almost 1,700 fucking yards, dude.
Yeah.
The Raiders were the only team really committed to the run.
In Washington, but yeah,
in the West, out there in the AFC West,
yeah,
the Raiders were the only team really committed to the fucking run.
That's true.
These other teams didn't commit the way they did. That's why they
committed to the run later in the year.
Denver could have been there, but they lost their top guy. They went and picked up a guy off the street to finish off their year.
Right.
It is what it is. The NFC East consistently runs the ball. They're more of a power division.
Absolutely.
In the comp.
Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Obviously,
so that's why the
can.
rushing numbers are going to be fudged a little bit. That and Kansas City doesn't run the football. Okay,
right.
All they do is throw the football. So for them, they're not going to lead in time of possession in just about any game. That's the way it is.
Well, actually, and it's pretty shocking. They're only 10 seconds behind Philadelphia for time of possession.
And that there, you would be like, there's no fucking way.
Right.
Yeah. That's because they get more possessions.
Correct.
Because they're constantly
fucking scoring.
They're constantly scoring, so they're getting probably 3 to 4 possessions more than a normal team would.
Well, and that leads me right into my next point here. If we break down the offenses here, it's actually kind of hard to pick your favorite. Points scored per game. Philadelphia is third. Kansas City is first. Right. They are 1 point difference, 29 versus 28. Total yards per game. Kansas City first, Philadelphia third, 413 versus 389. Passing yards per game, obviously, Kansas City has the edge because they physically don't run the ball. 297, Philadelphia ninth at 241. But then you completely flip-flop when you go into the rushing game. Correct. Philadelphia fifth at 147. Kansas City 20th at 115.
Quarterback that does both.
Well, absolutely. And Jalen Hurts obviously helps those numbers. Time of possession, even. Sacks, first and second. These teams are...
Well, here's the thing. You can say the sack thing. Philadelphia had 20 more sacks.
Yeah, and
that's sick, dude.
Correct.
Do you realize
69
that?
for Philadelphia
Holy
versus
shit.
55 for Kansas
Holy
City.
Shit.
So
they get to the quarterback.
I went back through this and I was trying to think about past Super Bowls, right? Like last year. Everybody who knew anything thought that the Rams were going to go in and absolutely throttle the Bengals, right? I picked the Bengals.
I
because
picked the Bengals,
I love
too,
an
but-
underdog story, but on paper, the two teams were not that evenly matched. If you look at this, it's, this is a 1.5 point difference. Philadelphia, 1.5 point favorite in this game.
Yeah, but at that point last year, I'll say this. The Rams had the number one defense.
Oh, absolutely. Handily.
So that was a different animal.
Well,
the defense was key to the Rams winning a Super Bowl.
Listen.
We all know that.
I'll be honest with you. It's extremely hard to argue the fact that Philadelphia doesn't have the number one defense. Again, 4th in interceptions, 1st in sacks, 1st in passing yards against, 2nd in total yards against. Like, in all reality, they could have the number one defense. And at the same
San
time,
Francisco has the number one defense.
listen,
Yeah.
we can say that all we want.
Yeah.
This team put up 30 points against them.
Yes.
I understand it was under some circumstances, but
Correct.
they
did.
still did it.
They did what they had to do.
And Kansas City's the number one offense. So if we stop and think about this game, I think if we go back through the last few Super Bowls, if you'll scroll up for me just so I can take a peek here. I mean, Tampa Bay at Kansas City.
Usually cruel.
Sorry.
Space phone.
Tampa Bay at Kansas City. Tampa Bay was that game was known. We knew what was going to happen in that one from the beginning. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think for the first time in a long time, we have a Super Bowl here that's dead nuts, evenly matched up to be a battle of two giants. I really don't. I wouldn't be surprised to see either of these teams win this game. I don't think we're going to be in a situation where one runs away. But in your opinion, okay, you don't necessarily have to pick a winner here, but if one of these two teams was going to run away with this game, who do you think it would be and why?
Well, I think within the first quarter, you'll kind of see how everything plays out. It's real simple. Which team is going to impose their will on the other team?
If one of them is going to run away, who do you think it's going to be?
I still think that Philadelphia, top to bottom, is more balanced than Kansas City, and I think they will win this game.
Okay. I think if this game is a close game all the way down, which I believe it is, I believe that, again, both these teams are very evenly matched. I do agree with you that Philadelphia is more balanced, but
Correct.
balance in a Super Bowl doesn't always equal who's going to win. I think
The it factor is this. Is Jalen Hurts going to be able to make plays like Pat Mahomes?
and see, that's the one thing.
That's the only thing I put a question mark on.
That is the one thing that I don't know about either. And I'll tell you this much. If Kansas City comes out and Kansas City, here's the thing, and we've talked about it all year. Kansas City picks and chooses when they want to play. There's a lot of
That is
games
true.
this year where
That's
Kansas
true.
City played down to their competition. And I don't know if we've seen the full out of the gate from go onslaught that Kansas City is really capable of. And if they come out and they put everything on the table.
I'll say this. If Kansas City comes out like they did against the Bengals last week, with the short, firing the ball down the field, moving the ball consistently, it's
they get out to a lead.
Yes.
This game
It'll
could
be
get
hard for
nasty
Philadelphia to stay in that game.
I agree. I
don't think Philadelphia has the power to come back. Philadelphia, if they come into this game and they get a lead, watch out.
Agreed.
Because that's when they just kind of turn it on and they keep it going consistently. But if they come out and they're down by 10 or down by 14, I don't know if they can come back.
I don't. It's just the
I really
Kansas
don't.
City. Kansas City is like a stick of dynamite, and if they come out and they blow out of the gate, I agree, and I keep as much
Pat
as I.
Mahomes
That's your
does
initial
what he did
question.
last week.
Is which team? If a team's going to take away,
If a team is going to run away,
it's Kansas City.
and I agree. And that's why this looming thing has been sitting in my head. As much as I agree with you that Philadelphia is the better team, and logic is telling me Philadelphia is more balanced. Philadelphia is, honest to God, right now with Mahomes' ankle the way it is, I think Jalen Hurts could probably make more in distress plays than he could. Philadelphia's defense, if they start getting to Mahomes, it's over, right? Like all of these things are pointing towards Philadelphia having everything it takes to win this game. But something there keeps telling me you haven't seen the full potential of Kansas City.
Yeah,
they
but
haven't had that light up game
The
in a long
thing is
time.
this, that Philadelphia defense, and you saw a little glimpse of it last week early on. As soon as guys started to come open, to get not open, but to get free off of blocks, they're devastating after that.
Absolutely.
They start to roll on defense. When they start to get pressure, it's coming from all angles.
It's an
And
onslaught.
they have so many guys they can rotate in, and they don't lose any kind of. They don't lose any. There's not a drop off on that line.
That's the thing.
Because
There's
that's what, Hassan Riddick is over there. He's got a couple sacks. He's got some strips. He's got some fumbles. Then all of a sudden you got Zoo, who didn't sign till late in the fucking year. What?
Who?
Dominican Zoo.
Who?
Dominican Zoo.
Oh, brother,
Okay. Continue.
this guy stinks.
Anyway, that's stupid. Don't ever do that again.
You say
So
that every
anyway,
time I play it.
but you got him, and then he comes in, maybe 10 snaps a game, but he's effective, and that's the key. That is the key right there. To keep those guys fresh.
And I agree with you. I mean, defensively, I know Kansas City, or I know Philadelphia has the edge. Truly, I do. And the whole thing is, then I go back to, okay, offensively, we want to think we know Kansas City has the edge.
If Kansas City's able to stop the run game of Philadelphia, look out. That's the key.
And I'm sitting here thinking about this. Number one, yeah, I want to say Kansas City has the edge because Kansas City usually always has the edge offensively.
Yeah, they don't need to concentrate on running the football to make their offense go.
Then I go back to the San Francisco game. And do I think Kansas City, with the talent they have, could go in and play San Francisco and put up 30 on them? And the answer is no. I don't. I don't
didn't
think that
so
Kansas
either.
City could do that.
No,
So
you're
I
right.
watched
And
Philadelphia.
I'll tell you what, we all know that San Francisco, the wide receiving core in San Francisco is a lot better than Kansas City's. I don't give a fuck what anybody says.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Debo Samuel's better than anybody they have, and so is Ayuk.
Yeah.
They don't have a guy of Ayuk's talent there.
And Kittle, I mean,
Is
obviously
like a step
Travis.
below.
Is
Travis
Kittle
Kelce-
Travis Kelsey?
No.
No, but he's guess what?
right
He's
there.
Travis Kelsey
right
beat.
there.
Yeah.
He's one of the
he's the one
top
down
3
version.
guys in the position.
So it's hard for me to sit there and rationalize that Philadelphia is extremely balanced, went in, played San Francisco. I understand Frisco didn't have a quarterback, but that doesn't discount their defense at all. And they hung 30 on them.
Right.
So what makes me think that Kansas City has this edge? And for some reason, I keep going
Pat
back
Mahomes.
to we have
Pat
not
Mahomes.
seen Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes, and the whole gang there fire on every cylinder yet this year. And I just, if Kansas City gets out in front in this game,
I don't think if Kansas City gets out in front early, they go up by 10. It's going to
a
be
problem.
really hard for Philadelphia to come back.
I agree.
I just don't. They don't have. I know they have weapons, but I just don't see them being able to stay in with them. They need to control the clock and do what they do. Play within themselves.
Now, I want to talk about those weapons a little bit. Obviously, Kansas City, the X factor in this game is Travis Kelce. And you'd be naive to think that realistically there's any guy who's going to cover Travis Kelce and shut him completely down.
You've seen. I don't think anybody's played Kelsey better than the Bengals did.
I agree with that 100%.
Kelsey had to earn every yard he got in that fucking game, man.
Do you think Philadelphia has the, again, you're not going to shut Kelce down, but do you think Philadelphia has the proper equation to at least contain him? Or do you just say, if you are Philadelphia, hey, you know what? We have the best secondary in football. Let Kelce go and cover everybody else.
I think what they're going to do, you're going to see a combination of that to where you'll see zone and guys being rolled toward Kelce to try to take these other guys. They're going to let the other guys beat them. And that's basically what Cincinnati was doing. Cincinnati was covering Kelce very well. And the other guys weren't able to pick up that slack after after Hardman went out,
Yeah.
and after no, it wasn't Scantling. What's his name? Schuster. When he went out, they were exposed because they couldn't offensively. They weren't able to move the ball anymore, especially through the passing game. Outside Kelsey making huge catches with 3 guys hanging on him.
So, do you think they will be able to not again? I think it's naive to think Kelsey doesn't come out of this game with at least 70 or 80 yards and a touchdown. Do you think they can contain him to that?
I think so. I think Philly's secondary is a lot better than Cincinnati's.
Oh, I agree.
And that's just my opinion. I think their corners are better. I think their safeties are better.
Well, you're setting me up. You're setting me up perfectly here. Next guy, obviously X factor for the Philadelphia Eagles, and we're going to talk about the quarterbacks in a second, so I don't want to act like we forgot them. But A.J. Brown, 1,500 yards this year, 11 touchdowns, 17 yards per catch average, one of the top 5 in the league.
What? He was not impressive last week.
No, he was not. He was not. He had a very down week last week. But do you think Kansas City can contain him?
I mean,
I don't know. He's so physical.
2 weeks ago, last game.
He's so
physical.
physical.
You think they can contain him the way that San Francisco did?
that's why I'm here.
No, I don't. Because I don't think their defense is as physical as San Francisco's.
So
I don't.
Do you think A.J. Brown in this game?
I think he's going to have a big game this game.
You think he blows this game up?
I think he could be the X factor in this game.
Honest to God, I agree with you.
Yes.
We know that those two will most likely be the X factor. And realistically, between Travis Kelce and A.J. Brown, whichever one of them
Don't
has.
forget about Goddard. Goddard is an X factor here. He's a guy that could put up some huge numbers.
Well, and you know what I mean? Devonta Smith quietly had a pretty good year.
He had a really good year.
They
have 2 receivers with 1,000 yards.
I mean, and that's a rare
that's
thing.
sick.
You could say he.
That's a rare thing to come across. And you know what? You can't forget about Goddard going into this. Now, obviously, Kansas City.
Goddard missed a lot of time during the year.
Absolutely, he did.
He missed a lot of time during the year. And did that hurt them? Not really, because the
2 or 3
receivers are the ones that picked up the slack.
No, Goddard just came back, didn't he? And he went on IR in November.
He just came back maybe 3 weeks before the season ended.
I don't even think he wasn't really doing all that much at the end of the regular season.
Well, no, he was still.
Because he had just
back
gotten
off of
back.
injury.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, running wise. So we saw last week Kansas City essentially shut down the Bengals run game. Joe Mixon
shut down Joe Mixon.
They shut
that was
him
impressive.
Completely down. Now, Miles Sanders, in my opinion, not nearly as talented of a running back as Joe Mixon. And again, I'm not a very big Miles Sanders guy, but you got to respect what he did this year. Almost 1,300 yards, 4.9 yards per carry, and 11 touchdowns. That's a great little year.
See, but here's the Joe Mixon thing. Cincinnati doesn't show you what Philly does. Philly is going to show you a read option with Hurts, and Hurts will burn you if you don't fucking
respect him.
Respect that.
Yep.
And that's exactly what they did to the top defense in the league. And they were able to pound out 4 to 5 yards a carry, and we're happy with that. And that just as long as the offense continues to roll. I don't think Kansas City has the horses up front to be able to stop that read option that is going to be on full display.
I agree with you.
Because these guys, Gainwell, you say what you want to say about Gainwell and Sanders, these guys will rip off runs. They will destroy you if you don't respect that.
The running back core of Philadelphia reminds me a lot of the wide receiving core of Kansas City. There's no dominant 100% guaranteed guy. But with the way that they run that offense, there's going to be one guy who has a really good game, right?
Yeah, and you know what? And you got to give Sirianni credit on this.
Absolutely.
He runs with the hot hand.
Yep.
And he kind of probably learned that from Andy Reid. Andy Reid's the same way. Belichick's the same way. They run with the hot hand. They see a guy's running hard and they're having success, they'll keep going to him.
So for you,
yes.
We talked about Travis Kelce. We talked about A.J. Brown. dissecting the quarterbacks a little bit. Obviously, Hurts missed a couple games this year, and his numbers are nowhere near Patrick Mahomes because, again, Philadelphia predicates around the run, even for their quarterback. But we know Mahomes' ankle is not 100%. All right? It was apparent against Cincinnati, and I don't know going into this game, even on the 2 weeks rest, how with a high ankle sprain, I mean, that's an injury that has sidelined guys.
You know
for 4
what?
to 5 weeks.
I don't think that this injury will have any kind of situation.
No,
in
he
this
was
game.
fine a week after.
I really don't.
Fine.
I thought he was fine the last game.
It was hurting him.
I don't think that it will be an issue in this game.
Not to play.
I do think that the shoulder injury of Jalen Hurts is kind of downplayed big time.
Next question for me. You took it right out of me.
Okay, sorry.
No. I agree with you.
Because he went down at one point in that game against San Francisco, and he didn't want to get up.
Correct.
You could see it.
Obviously, at this point in the year, everybody's a little banged up. But
Correct.
Jalen Hurts ran for 760 yards in the regular season. Is this going to be a game where he is going to have to out-cute Patrick Mahomes?
That's not going to happen.
Well, you say that.
No, nobody out-cutes Pat Mahomes.
He more than doubled Mahomes' rushing total this year as far as
but
yards on the
Mahomes
ground.
has 2,000 yards passing more than he does.
1,500. But yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Is this an obvious question? Is Mahomes...
Who do you feel more comfortable with if they have to make plays with their feet?
Right now?
As of right now.
Right now, I'm more comfortable with Jalen Hurts.
I am too.
Because
the feet ain't the problem with him.
Right. And I'll be honest with you. I get it. Mahomes played in 2 Super Bowls, won 1. And all the stars are aligning
Yeah.
for this to be his second big win. Right now.
Don't underestimate Andy Reid, and don't underestimate the offensive line for Kansas City. That's exactly what happened. Is Cincinnati underestimated them, and they came out and they punched Cincinnati in the mouth.
Here we go.
Up front.
My next question was going to be, outside of the quarterbacks, outside of the 2 top weapons, what's your X factor in this game? Both
the Eagles' offensive line. They're the X factor. If they can handle Chris Jones and keep him under control, they'll be successful.
Well, see, my X factor in this game for the Eagles is their defensive line. And I mean, obviously, they have shown this year that they're a force to be reckoned with. But it's real simple. It's like a shark sniffing blood in the water, right? If you know Mahomes' ankle's not 100%, even if it's 95, if you know it's 100%, if you keep Mahomes under duress, which with Kansas City's offensive line is very, very hard to do. If you can keep Mahomes under duress and make him use his feet.
And for the most part, Cincinnati did that
and they did.
4 quarters.
And I think that's why Cincinnati, even with how battered their offensive line was, that's why they stayed in that
their
game.
offensive line was in no shape to stand up to the pressure. Joe Burrow was under constant
pressure. And I think that's why that game was only a field goal game. Because they were able to keep Mahomes uncomfortable from start to finish. If Philadelphia does that, which they've shown all year they can do, I think they will win this game. On the other side of it, my X factor in this game for Kansas City, and it'd be easy to say, oh, it's their offensive line standing up against Philadelphia, but I don't think it is. For me, the X factor is you have to exchange blows with Philadelphia. Because we already know, as far as the big play goes, the shot downfield, that ESPN top 10 play, Kansas City, you already got it in the bag. But this game is going to come down to is, can you exchange blows with Philadelphia, ground and pound the football, which Kansas City has not done a good job of all year, and then take that kill shot, be able to hit that big play. And coming full circle.
Turnovers are huge at this point, too.
Absolutely. Can Edwards-Helaire, this is where I think he becomes an instant impact in this game. Because Pacheco, as good as he is, good young running back, he's not going to be able to run the ball against this Kansas City defense 25 times and be effective. You're going to have to show constant different looks, Pacheco's going to have to be effective. Edwards-Helaire is going to have some sort of a role in this game, as well as Jerick McKinnon. And if they can do that, and they can utilize the clock to their advantage and actually establish some sort of a run, and then go.
Nobody's game plan for Edwards-Helaire. The game plan is to stop
Pacheco. If they can do that,
McKinnon from destroying them in that third down role.
If they can do that, and then use their big play, use the cuteness of Mahomes, use the dominance of Kelsey to get them just over the hurdle, I think that would be the way Kansas City
needs to keep this game close.
Absolutely.
They need to keep it close. If they can't keep it close, they're going to get run out of the stadium.
If they're, and again, I don't believe this is the case, but if there's a scenario where one of these teams jumps out to a 10-point lead,
if Philadelphia jumps out to a 10-point lead, I truly believe Kansas City could be in trouble.
Either way, I'm a firm believer. If this game is not
Kansas City has the firepower to come back,
yes,
from that, I think. But if Philly gets into that, they get into that mode where when they come out and they're kind of starting to dominate their will, they start to click on all cylinders. They're very hard to beat. I think if Kansas City can jump out to that early lead, they have a better chance of winning this game.
You're in a track meet with Kansas City. That's not a place.
Exactly.
Bruce, what's your X factor? X factors, both teams.
It's defense for both teams, actually. All right, who's going to stop who? That's what it comes down to, in my opinion. You have two trifling offenses here. They're capable of doing anything.
I mean, and that's all we've seen all year, you know. Again, we got the yin and the yang. Right, against anybody. And I still, this is why this game's so hard for me, is because I still go back to that Philadelphia-San Francisco game. And Philadelphia made that defense look so bad. And Kansas City has been able to do whatever they want all year. But I truly think I'm at a point now where there's a front runner in this game. But what's up?
I think it's Kansas City's defense, ultimately, that pulls it off.
So
there's hidden talent there that you haven't seen all year. You've seen glimpses of, and I think it comes out in the Super Bowl.
So let's hear your picks. Let's get into it. Go.
I'm taking Kansas City.
So Philadelphia,
what is the
1.5 point favorite in this game? Philadelphia, 1.5 point favorite, over under 50. 50.5, excuse me. So you're taking Kansas City.
I'll take the under as well.
Okay. Go ahead.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Over under?
Been there all year. What's the under?
50.5.
Under.
I am going to take Philadelphia -1.5. And again, I'm always open and honest when I don't feel 100% secure with a pick. And I'll be honest with you.
This one's hard.
This is and again, we have the list of Super Bowls up here. Rams versus Cincy, Tampa versus Kansas City versus San Francisco, New England versus the Rams. Honest to God, if you go back through the last 5 Super Bowls, in my opinion, there has not been one that is harder to pick than this.
I don't think that's true. I don't think anybody gave Philly a chance against New England. I know I didn't.
Okay. Again, if you listen,
okay,
that has been easier, or that has been harder to pick than this. Everybody thought New England was going to landslide that game.
Yes.
Okay. But
and the Rams, I think everybody thought the Rams were going to beat New England.
But okay, you're missing my point here.
Okay.
Even if the team that everybody thought was going to win lost,
right,
it hasn't been this hard to pick. We haven't had 2 teams this evenly matched. I'll put it that way.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
For me, I'm going Philadelphia, and I am hitting the over in this game because as much as we think that both of these defenses are going to impose their will,
there's going to come a point in this game where it turns into a fucking shootout.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And if it happens,
that's all Mahomes. It's all Mahomes. Because you know what? They may be down by 14. They may be down by 17. Then all of a sudden he comes on a fucking onslaught and goes up by 3. You just don't know what'll happen.
Again, this game is as unpredictable as a nuclear reactor. And honest to God, that's how I feel. But in my heart of hearts, even with everything we described, because I think after everything we broke down here over the last hour, It makes you, if you're listening to this, you're going to think, oh, how can I not go with Kansas City? But the problem is I've watched Philadelphia be so dominant this year. They started out, what was it, 12-0?
No, they were 8-0, 7-0, 8-0.
You're right. So, okay, they were at 13-1 at one point.
Yeah.
And it's just hard. It's hard for you to sit there and think all that. And I you know what? I think as much as Andy Reid has the experience factor in this game, for some reason, and I don't know why, but Nick Sirianni has a chip on his shoulder. I don't know why, because he shouldn't. But my God, does he coach like he has a chip on his shoulder? And I'm going to give them that 1.5 point advantage here.
He knows what the fuck he's doing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's what he yelled at the ref, I'm pretty sure, that one game.
That it is.
Yeah.
So, with that said, anything you'd like to add? Do you have any bold predictions for this game?
Pat Mahomes will do something cute in this game.
Wow. Could have told you
Does
that.
anybody know if there's a
Pat Mahomes
a
will do
betting
something
line on
cute.
that?
Pat Mahomes could do something cute in this game,
Probably is.
and it's going to cost him.
Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah.
Mark my words. On it.
Ooh.
He's going to get too cute, and it's going to cost him.
You think he can get too cute with that ankle?
Well, you know what? He started to get cute last week,
Yeah, and it almost cost him.
and the only thing that saved them was that late turnover that helped them, because they would have been in trouble. Big
And a
time.
late hit. Bruce?
Actually, I was watching something the other day, and it was a little question, and I want to ask the same question.
Go ahead.
What was the first Super Bowl you remember watch? And I'm going to put a little spin on it from start to finish, because I have glimpses of games when I was younger, but
Okay.
from start to finish, I have a game that I absolutely remember.
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl. The first Super Bowl you actually remember, start to finish.
Fuck.
I know mine.
Go ahead.
Mine was, what year was the Super Bowl in Detroit? 2006, right?
Right here. 2006. Yep.
You
Before
went to that.
I was there, but before that, the Patriots went back to back.
Right here. Yep.
And I'm not looking up right now because I'm trying to remember. The first one, they beat Carolina,
Okay.
and then they turned around back to back. Deion Branch won an MVP. And I'm trying for the life of me
Scroll that down for me.
I'm trying to remember who they played. Either way, the first one I remember was for watching from start to finish. So it would have been what, 04?
Okay.
04 against Carolina.
Yeah.
Now, there, Brady won an MVP. Deion Branch
scroll
won
down
it the
for
next
me,
year against the
please?
Eagles. Yep,
Scroll down.
Okay.
Wait.
2004. It's almost 20 years. You got to keep going.
No,
further than
I'm
that.
trying to remember the first one I seen.
There's
Go off.
1967, so you were
No, it wasn't that. Hold on.
This seems like it's right there.
I remember this game.
Cowboys Broncos. 1978. You
No,
were
actually,
13.
it wasn't. The first Super Bowl I remember watching was the one right there.
Raiders
77, the Raiders and
Vikings.
Minnesota Vikings.
at the Rose
When
Bowl.
Jack Tatum knocked out, I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Is it Sammy White? I can't remember the guy's name. But Jack Tatum was vicious in that game. That was the last time John Madden was the coach of the Oakland Raiders in that game.
Super Bowl 11.
Super Bowl winning John Madden. That's the first game I remember watching, Super Bowl, that I remember watching on TV.
All right, go back up to when we were alive. So my first one,
If you were alive, what does that mean?
Super Bowl 38 was the first one I remember watching.
The Cardinals and Steelers?
No,
38.
Patriots Panthers. That one, because I don't remember. Honest to God, I don't remember the first one, the one against the Rams. I remember watching it, but not from start to finish. That's the first one I remember watching from start to finish.
Mine is. The
So you
Pittsburgh Steelers
didn't
against
watch the
Arizona
Rams, the Rams in New England?
Well, I was 5.
I remember that game pretty.
This is the thing. I remember the highlight.
Yeah.
Like I remember watching it, but I don't remember it from start to
Okay.
finish. You get what I'm
Okay,
saying?
yeah,
And I
I
could have
see what
seen
you're saying.
clips years later, and that's what's sticking out in my memory.
You know, there was one that I remember, and I know this is going to sound fucking stupid, but it actually might be earlier than the one that I seen. was the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Los Angeles Rams.
Jesus, you got to go way down.
And that's the first game I watched on TV. Was the Los Angeles Rams and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I want to say it was 1980.
Dude, that's
And Terry Bradshaw won the.
Yeah, Terry.
This one here is
That
the
was-
one. There's two that I really remember big time that I was really into it.
you weren't blown
That
out
game
during
there.
these two?
Vince Ferragamo was the quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams, and then the next year it was the Oakland Raiders with their coach. John Madden was gone. Tom Flores was the coach for the Raiders, and Kenny King caught a screen pass from Jim Plunkett and went 75 yards for a touchdown to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. And I was a big Eagles guy, and I was decimated by it.
Still a
Very
big
nice.
Eagles guy.
Very
Still a
nice.
big Eagles guy.
Go ahead, give us a nice fly, Eagles,
Fly, Eagles, fly.
There we go.
Say what you want to say about Philadelphia. They've been pretty successful. They have.
Yep, it's been a great year. It has.
Yes, they have.
So, without further ado, I would like to wish everybody a great Super Bowl week.
Have a good time watching the game. Don't do anything stupid.
Yeah, we will be back next week. A couple of episodes before we officially end season 1 of Tip Balls. Enjoy the game. I'm only going to say this one time in my entire life, but fly, Eagles, fly. God, that just felt dirty. That felt so dirty. Anything before we end?
We didn't get a chance to talk about free agency this week, but
We'll get into it
we'll
next
get
week
into it.
before we end
We'll get into
our
it.
first season. Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of the Tip Balls podcast. Make sure to watch the Super Bowl. Enjoy. Rihanna's going to be the halftime show.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Follow our
fucking
socials.
Didn't you hear that priest
you know
that
what?
died in
You know what?
hell and
Nobody
You heard Rihanna
cares.
was in
You know
hell.
what I want to see
On
for the
repeat.
halftime show at the Super Bowl? A marching band. I just want to see a marching band with no Rihanna and none of these assholes.
How many
I
times
just
did
want to
she-
see
it's like
a
the
fucking
second
marching
time?
band play.
second or third time?
What?
Make sure to follow our socials. We'll be posting all kinds of good shit there all weekend. Instagram and Twitter at Tipballs, TikTok at Tipballs Podcast. We will be back next week on Monday. Super Bowl recap. Talk about all the shit that happened. Janet Jackson's titty might pop out.
Oh, God
Thank you
damn
so
it.
much
Really?
for listening.
Jesus
Enjoy
Christ,
this
it's like an old
big
leather
weekend.
bag.